I can honestly tell you for myself and my leaders and others, this is probably the most exciting time in IT. I've been in it a long time. I've never seen it move this fast with this level of complexity ever. AI is a real deal. It's not just a fad. It's a real deal that we can see it being prevalent in almost every aspect of healthcare.
This is a TechVibe Pittsburgh Deep Dive, and I'm your host, Jonathan Kirsting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council. Did you know that one of Pittsburgh's best kept secrets is revolutionizing the healthcare tech industry by blending technology and compassion to improve patient care? As healthcare becomes increasingly digital, the demand for efficient, secure, and patient-focused technology solutions is absolutely skyrocketing. So we are kicking off a 3-part series on how enGen, a spinoff from Highmark, is transforming healthcare systems and supporting local talent right here in Pittsburgh. So discover how enGen is leveraging AI to streamline claims processing and enhance patient care. You can learn about the company's innovative use of ambient listening to improve customer service and healthcare outcomes, and discover how enGen is fostering community growth by providing opportunities for underrepresented talent in tech. Listen now to hear CEO Mick Malec reveal how enGen is creating waves in healthcare technology and giving back to the Pittsburgh community.
And so, Mick, thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm just really excited to talk with you because I think in some ways enGen's one of these best kept secrets of what's happening here in Pittsburgh. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. So first and foremost, I got to know about Mick real fast. I mean, you're the head of this thing, right?
I have a couple of different roles within
Absolutely.
Highmark. I'm the CEO of enGen, and we'll figure out what that is as we go on. I'm also the Chief Technology Officer of Highmark, big enterprise, big technology, and the Chief Operating Officer. So all the healthcare operational components, call centers and claims, provider utilization management, all that fits under the umbrella.
Wow, that's a lot for one person to be hanging out with. Do you have like an extra hour in the day somehow that we don't have?
No, what helps me is I'm just not very bright. So there's a lot of things that can get by me. I didn't even know that was happening. I apologize on behalf of enGen.
I love your sense of humor. That's fantastic. You have to have that in order to get through a day.
Yes, it's better than waking up every day weeping in your bed. I find that to be much more constructive. Yes.
Most definitely. And how long have you been with Highmark and enGen for altogether?
6 years. We're going on 6 years.
Fantastic, man. So it must be a tremendous opportunity to be part of this. This is really, I think of Highmark, it is such a Pittsburgh institution, one of our foundational companies. And I think so many people don't realize the technology behind it, which is where enGen comes in. And that's why I'm so excited about today's conversation, for us to kind of tear that apart a little bit and we can kind of learn what you guys are up to. So give us the pitch for enGen. Like, we're riding in an elevator. I'm like, who's this Mick guy? enGen. Tell me about enGen.
Great question. So we are a lot of different things within Highmark and beyond. Allegheny Health Network, for example. So enGen has responsibility for all the healthcare back office systems, claims, membership, billing. Then, of course, your clinical systems, your customer service systems, your enterprise systems, GR, general ledger, HR, all that. So the full suite of what a health plan needs to run their business is what enGen provides for Highmark and for other entities outside of Highmark.
Interesting. Okay, so that's something towards, like, this was designed for Highmark to have it run its organization, but then of course there's other healthcare organizations out there that can then use that backbone,
right,
and everything like that. That's a pretty cool move to take that and say it's not just for us, but we can make money off this and
right,
help others improve their services.
Yeah,
right?
so we're able to offer economies of scale. It is very the IT industry, as exciting as it is also expensive.
Oh, yeah.
The cost of hardware, software, personnel does nothing but increase year over year. So for organizations like ourselves, it's a scale game. Build it once, use it many. So we have all that. And then we do all the processing, I'm sure this is familiar with some of your listeners, the Epic platform for Allegheny. And all the surround systems.
Oh my goodness!
that encompass that, and there's a lot there that it takes to run a very significant provider network as they are, and all the things they do for the community. Then we have a very large digital footprint that we're evolving into. Healthcare will more and more be very digitally oriented in terms of payers and providers interceding on a person's care and being much more proactive about a patient member and fending off those critical chronic illnesses and be there when you have those life-changing events, be it a health issue, pregnancy. So it's really using the technology to be more of a proactive, positive factor for people when they really need healthcare.
It's so much. It boggles my mind. I mean, the number of things that have to be juggled every day to make someone's experience seamless and to make sure they get the care that they need when they need it. And it's no joke because people's lives are at stake here. It makes it extra stressful as far as I'm concerned.
It's a big responsibility.
Yes.
It's a big footprint. Lots and lots and lots of technology. We have our own data center. It was there when I got here. We have our own backup data center. Mm-hmm. We just have a lot of infrastructure, tremendous, let me repeat, tremendous amount of security. Obviously healthcare is a very ripe apple for some villains. I was going to use other words, but villain, I'll clean it up and use villains.
That's right. This is a PG-13 podcast,
exactly.
Man.
Villains, buggers to try to get in. So we are good stewards of security, great stewards. We have a great security information officer, Greg, who makes sure we're protected. So yes, it's a large enterprise with a lot of technology moving parts.
Especially on the cyber side of things. I mean, as you mentioned, it's ripe. And this is an area where bad actors are out there and it's people's medical information. This is the most sacred stuff out there, and the idea that you got this whole cyber component that keeps this safe while you're doing the other stuff. Once again, that level of stress keeps going up for me as we talk about this.
I can't even talk about it anymore because I'd have to kill you. So
you would have to kill me. I like living, so
exactly.
It's one of those things, but we'll move on to the next
first
subject.
word security is you don't use the word security. Back to you, Chief.
Absolutely. So with all this going on, I mean, your footprint in Pittsburgh is pretty tremendous. How many folks do you have that are manning this? The men and women that you have working here have to be pretty intense.
In my area alone, it's I'll be conservative. It's over 10,000 between.
Oh my goodness.
The technology operations folks. We are primarily located in Pittsburgh area. Given the specificity of the technology and the complexity, we do have folks outside.
Of course.
But that's minimal. Most of our folks, quite frankly, are here. And one of the reasons we'll get to the next part is why we're investing in training people here.
Oh, I can't wait to get there.
And bringing them along here. We're a big community advocate. We live here and we want to make it better here.
That's one of the aspects why I'm just such a fan of what you guys do, because not only are you just innovating amazing technology that's helping people have better lives, but you're using people here locally to do that. And you're also going deep into the community to find folks that wouldn't necessarily have that chance. And to bring them along. And we're going to get to that if people keep on listening, because this is and we're going to have actually our future podcast. This is our 3-part series. We're going to be going even deeper into that in a later episode.
I'm going to try to make it funny so people stick along. Technology, as exciting as it can be boring. No. It's like watching Jell-O. It's like, is this where the Jell-O starts to move? No. There's no moving Jell-O here.
No moving Jell-O, but I like it when it wiggles. It's simple as that.
Let's not even go there, Chief.
We won't even go there.
I'll end up in Highmark HR.
I know. We don't want that to happen. I hear sometimes you don't come back out.
Exactly.
It's not good.
What happened to Mick? He's no longer with us.
All right. Let's talk about some of the key initiatives that are kind of happening within all of this that you just described, because this is so much. But what are some of the key drivers right now that really have you excited as the leader of this?
There's still a lot of paper within big health plans,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of paper claims. Paper enrollment is getting rid of paper because paper just causes manual work and errors. I know that sounds very rudimentary, but it's still out there. So we've had a lot of work in basically getting more data from more parties electronically, much better. So that's kind of like motherhood and apple pie. I'll use we're like a couple minutes in. This is the first time I'll use the term AI.
Oh, come on. You ruined it. We're going to go the whole way without saying
no,
AI.
It would be impossible.
How could we? It'd be impossible.
We do AI at scale. So what that means is when you start using AI to assist in, let's say, claims processing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of repetitive, mundane work,
Mm-hmm.
looking for a dupe, looking for a member match, yawn. So, AI basically says, I'll go in and do the research and I'll bring you some options. This is claim really a dupe or not. And I'll tell you, I'll give you some information thinking it is or isn't. And eventually that AI engine will learn saying, well, I'm not going to present you this one because you told me last time it wasn't a dupe. So AI is different than typical technology because it actually will learn from the input you give it. We're also doing a lot of things around ambient listening.
Ambient listening. I've never heard of this.
Well, look at us.
Okay.
We're growing as a team today. Yes. Customer service rep jobs are very, very tough in the health plan.
Very tedious.
Probably the toughest job there is because people aren't calling you to say, hey, great job on that claim. They're calling up and they're usually, I'll use the term fussy.
Yes.
And
Well, it's
so
a high stress moment for a lot of people. So they're
absolutely.
extra. Yeah.
You're messing with the money and care, and it's very, very stressful. So
Yes.
what we find is the CSR diligently listens to the call and then takes the meeting notes and then has to submit a series of transactions to complete why the person called in the first place.
Right.
Ambient listening will say, let me listen to the call and I'll create the notes for you.
Very cool.
So it takes out that middle step. And then it'll fire off a trigger saying, by the way, based on the call and the notes, you have to submit 1, 2, 3 transactions to complete that member's requirements because he called you in the first place.
That's what I'm talking about. The idea that somebody can then not only take the notes, but then give you the action items
Yep.
to be sure that you follow up on them. And that's going to make a happier customer because you follow up and
Right.
everything happens the way they're expecting.
You'll
right?
see ambient listening in healthcare be very prevalent on the provider side, to the point where ambient listening vendors will specialize in general practitioner, oncology, heart, because the terms are so different and so unique.
Makes sense.
So
Right,
you'll
right.
start to see, and we're already having 3 pilots go on. You know, when you go to a physician office, it's a tough job for them too. They're listening to you as a patient.
I was going to ask about that. Like, is this in the doctor's office as well
Yes.
too? Because like I'm trying to describe what's going on and
Yes.
the doctor's trying to listen, but the doctor also just
Oh.
saw a patient's going to see another patient. So to have something else, they're kind of pulling that info. Is gonna be
Right.
pretty
So
big.
they're talking to you,
Yeah.
you know, about your spleen or whatever happened. Sorry about that. Then they're trying to take notes. Then they're trying to diagnose you all at the same time. It's a tough job. Ambient listening will allow that notes to be captured. So you see them always typing into the system and everything. So very, very prevalent in a couple of years in the provider office. And we've already seen our pilots render big value in terms of that physician can now spend more time listening versus typing.
And that's
big
so
deal.
important.
And they want to, you know, of course, you know, physicians go to school to provide care. And now, you know, this will help them do more of that.
Less typing, more caring. That's what it's
Amen.
all about.
That's
for
right.
me. That's so amazing. That's why I get excited because I think about this is happening here in Pittsburgh. You're using Pittsburgh people
Yep.
to solve these problems. How much do you also bring in like outside vendors? I know Highmark does a lot with outside vendors to bring in their expertise and then integrate it into what you do. Is that something that enGen does as well?
Absolutely. It would be impossible to write everything. That you know, it just it's not who we are. The trick though is the right vendor.
Of course.
I think some of your folks will recognize this. Everything works in PowerPoint. Wow, that's beautiful. I love what you did with the blue boxes. And when you show up, they show up their software. It's like, well, we never seen anything like your environment. It's like, really? That's not in your brochure there, slick. So it's really about finding the right vendor with the right goods.
I love it.
The right, you know, who have you done this before in the past? How have you done this? Give me some testimonials because once again, there's more vendors out there every single day. And so you got to pick the right partner to go along for the ride.
Without a doubt. I mean, that's something I've done some podcasts with Highmark through our Healthcare Reinvented series. We've done a lot of explorations around the partners that you guys have. And when I've talked with those partners, there's some amazing companies and the people behind it are pretty cool. So it's got to be pretty awesome to have that kind of backup and that kind of a partnership going on to bring these solutions. So
Yes.
me as a Highmark member can go in and be like, yeah, my problems are getting solved. You know, it makes it for a good, positive experience without a doubt. Love it. First off, I love your enthusiasm. It's infectious.
Well, I don't get out
You're
much,
pumping
so
me
it's kind
up,
of a
man.
big
I
day
know.
for me. I mean, I clean socks on. I thought, well, let's go ahead
What
and let's go
better?
do this.
I know.
I had a nice breakfast, a croissant.
A croissant, nonetheless. Well, I'm telling you
Yeah.
what, that is, and we're going to avoid
Very
the
French.
HR office as well too, which I think
Okay.
is very exciting. But it's very rare when I get to interview someone they bring a passion about what they do. I'm assuming your team must be pretty energized if you're.
Well,
there
that's
being
one
able
word
to
for
lead.
it.
Or is it just totally terrified?
Well, no, it's, you know, you have to build enthusiasm. You have to
Yeah.
build engagement. Our scores show that we're there. Right now, IT is. I've been in it a long time. I've never seen it move this fast with this level of complexity ever. AI is a real deal. It's not just a fad. It's a real deal that we can see it being prevalent in almost every aspect of healthcare, either be on the high mark payer side
Hmm.
or the Allegheny side. Technology, for example, in a hospital, that right now there's human beings watching people to make sure they don't fall out of bed. And now technology will be able to determine sleep patterns and automatically will ping the alarm saying, Mrs. Jones looks like she's a candidate to fall out of
It
bed.
sees a potential for it and it can alert
Right.
someone ahead of time.
Something as rudimentary like that, but it's real. I mean, it's
And think
real
how important
stuff.
that is. I mean, if someone like breaks a hip at an old age, that can really be the end of their
Right.
life within a year,
Right.
of what I hear. And
So,
yeah.
virtual nursing, we call that care AI. These are all things that are really in front of us right now.
Yeah. I mean, first off, as you're implementing all these solutions and planning for the new ones, how do you stay ahead of the curve? How do you keep up with all the trends that are happening? I mean, you have to be like a sponge, just sucking up everything that's out there around all things health IT.
You got to invest in yourself. If you don't I just told my team yesterday, we had a podcast, that if you don't jump on AI, it will leave you behind.
Yeah.
It's, once again, as I mentioned, it's truly real, but you have to invest in yourself. I tell my staff all the time, you got to run yourself like your own little business. That if you're doing the same thing the same way you were doing 10 years ago, you own that. And that harp don't play forever. You may want to grab some other instrument. So you have to invest in yourself. If you look at other professions, legal and medical, they have to go through continual training and testing. Same thing here. You have to keep your skills current. The amount of different integrations and vendors and all of it's got to work at scale, yada, yada, yada. You got to be on top of it.
Without a doubt. Well, what gets me excited when you talk about that is I'm thinking that as your teams have to be very fired up to know that they're always being invested in. And so it's got to create a really cool culture at your company. What's the culture like? I mean, people, obviously, they're working on like just some of the coolest solutions out there using those advanced technologies. I'm assuming everyone coming into work is pretty stoked.
Yeah, we can disagree about a certain thing, but once we call the play, we all pull the wagon in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
I can honestly tell you from myself and my leaders and others, this is probably the most exciting time in IT. It just is. The opportunities in front of us, the way to how we would deploy software, how we would write software, how we would integrate, it's never been like this. It's going to be the most exciting time in IT. It just is.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we keep looking at just the rush of AI happening now. It's almost like 30 years ago, the internet became publicly available, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, this to me is even bigger than that. And we're just the first step of it right now. So, and when I look at how AI can save people's lives, like you can monitor someone's sleep patterns and know that they might fall out of bed. That's powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
So how much fun are you having then being able to take this technology and actually see it in play and actually saving people's lives, creating efficiencies, all the good stuff? I'd be waking up like cracking my knuckles saying, yeah, it's going to be a good day.
Well, it's very exciting. I mean, very exciting. But, you always have to also temper that with security and compliance.
Course, yeah.
I mean, everybody wants your stuff. And we have to be very careful who our AI vendors are.
Oh my gosh.
We can't let this stuff to get out in the public domain. So you always have to temper the excitement with the reality of the responsibility. Yeah. So we are a very responsible organization. We pick our partners very carefully. We do a lot of due diligence on where our data goes and who's got it. I mean, it's a big outfit. We send thousands of files out every day. So we have a file audit committee that makes sure they go to the right people. So
right.
It is a big nuclear reactor we created. And unlike some traditional parties, vendors, we eat our own cooking. So we write software and it's automatically used by the health plan. So I'm not a vendor selling software saying, well, here's the download, have a great day. I mean, we live with the business outcome. So that's unique in the marketplace, that everything we do, we write, we use.
Yeah. Well, how fun is that? Because actually seeing it used, I would get a lot of satisfaction knowing that like 18 months ago was this idea to deploy technology to get to where you go through the process, you integrate it, you get it running, and you actually see it working.
Oh, it's all fun and games
Yeah.
until something breaks.
Well, we don't want to talk
Woohoo,
about
we're
that.
having fun now. Hey, where's the balloons? And then all of a sudden, some guy comes into the hospital, decides they're going to power off the hospital the wrong way, and zaps 4 boxes.
Uh-oh.
So there's a
So that-
reality of it too, where
That's never happened before, I can tell, right?
yeah, it happened twice in the last 2 months.
Uh-oh.
Like, I know how to do this. Here, let me move aside. Yeah, I mean, there's the reality of it is that as complex as all this is and how wonderful, many times it gets down to human beings.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, well, I thought I tested it. I mean, worked on my machine. I mean, I'm usually pretty good at this. Boom.
And there it goes.
So it still gets down to a lot
Yeah.
of good old fashioned whoopsies.
Yep. That's part of the business. But,
Uh-huh.
I mean, but I see you have a sense of humor about it and you're able to get through it.
Oh, yes.
Correct it
I
accordingly.
have a box packed in my car just in case.
Just
We
in
never know what's
case.
going to happen. Looking for a job. All right.
Oh my goodness. So a few minutes ago, we were referencing the fact that enGen's employ a lot of people. And one of the things that I've always admired about enGen has been your partnership with the Tech Council and through our Apprentice program, where we're trying to get apprentices into technology. And enGen's been one of our biggest taker on this. And we're gonna have a whole other podcast that I want people to come to as we are our third part of
Oh,
this.
look at you being
We're
a
gonna go
teaser.
deep.
Nicely
I
done.
gotta tease people, but just real quickly, I just want to know your passion behind being able to go into communities where there are folks that can't get an advantage to go in and get tech training and to be able to provide that for these folks and then bring them on board and make them just a valuable part of your team.
Absolutely. I started my career as a distribution clerk on the midnight shift at a bank in Detroit. They don't even have distribution clerks anymore. And that was a person that would, some of your people might remember, green bar paper. You'd have to burst and decollate and put green bar paper in boxes and send it off. So that's about as low as you can start in the computer industry.
All right.
And so all along the way, I got a lot of breaks,
Excellent.
a lot of
Yeah.
breaks. And so it's important to pay some of those breaks back. If you got lucky, give it back. So yes, we've gone into areas that you would traditionally not recruit from. And then doing that, let no deed go unpunished. We worked really hard to say, perhaps these people don't have the money to get a degree. You can either feed your family or get a degree. That's just the reality of it. So
Exactly.
we're able to work with our HR partners to waive having a degree and bring them in. And we have been very productive with that. We find that people that we, tracked in that level, they're looking for something good to happen. So if you're smart and you work hard, there's something we can do with you. And we've proven that to be true. They're also loyal to the job. They're loyal to, because it's not a job, it's a career. There's a path and a trajectory. And if you invest and we invest. So we've been very successful with that. And we're going to continue to do that. Once again, we live here, and we're always going to have a Pittsburgh presence. And, some of I'm one of them. I'm no spring chicken. People are going to start to, evolve out of their jobs. Some of the folks we've had been there 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So you always got to keep that workforce fresh. So for us, it's a good investment. It feels good to be able to, once again, attract a group of people that others may have overlooked. And it's the right thing to do.
Without a doubt. And I tell you what, the difference it's making Pittsburgh a more vibrant place to live for everybody. Because the Tech Council, we want tech to take everybody along for this awesome ride that's been floating us for the past 35, 40 years here. So Mick.
And you guys have been really important. Apprentice's been critical to it. We couldn't have done it going into the community, doing the recruiting, doing the vetting, doing the training, doing the preparation. A lot of these folks have never had a career kind of job. It's like, not for nothing, dude, got to lose the Crocs. I mean, we got to work on the whole shoe thing here a little bit, buddy. So, but those basic fundamentals of being in the business and all that, you can't assume they're there. You have to build people up to be able to be ready for those jobs.
That's what it's all about. And that's why the partnership with the Tech Council has been so valuable to us, because we couldn't do it without you guys. So it's great when two entities come together to make the region a better place. And we're going to have more about that in our episode 3 of this deep dive. So Mick, so much fun deep diving with you about all things enGen today. I really appreciate your candor and especially your humor.
Okay, very good. Checks in the mail. Perfect.
Perfectamundo.
Yeah.
I love it. Once again, this is Jonathan Kirsting with Pittsburgh Technology Council doing one of our TechVibe deep dives.